One doesn't represent the other.
And I'm the curator of the Mass Observation Archive, and it's my absolute pleasure and privilege on behalf of myself and my fellow conference organisers to welcome you here today to the first day of our Mass Observation Anniversaries conference. So I'm sure you all know this is our anniversary year, this academic year, for both the 75th anniversary of the Mass Observation Project starting in 1937, but also the 30th anniversary of the reignition of mass observation in 1981 in the form of the Mass Observation Project.
Thank you very much, Fiona. I'm very touched. And of course, I'm delighted to be here to celebrate the 75 years since mass observation was originally founded in 1937. I calculated with some astonishment that of those 75 years, I've been closely involved for 38 of them. But just now I thought, have I got my maths right? So, and I haven't had time to take 1974 from 2012, but I think it's 38. Anyway, that's an awful long time, I realise. And I've got to the stage now where I need to remind younger people that I meet that actually I wasn't around in 1937.
What was mass observation in its first phase, that's to say between 1937 and 1949? In a sentence, it was an independent social research organisation which sadly became a mere market research company. There's an aura of failure hanging over the received narrative, a slide from radical ambitions in the late 1930s via wartime alliances with the Ministry of Information and with a consortium of advertising agencies to market research by the 1950s.
So the starting point for my talk today, and my focus on the optic of mass observation, comes in Madge's postscript, Charles Madge's postscript to Harrison's Britain Revisited of 1961. Madge wrote that mass observation had been looking for the changing colours in the street, the changing shapes of tombstones. These visual elements caught the eye of the observers, for whom such observation was not just an exercise in triviality. Some sort of net had been spread to catch that fleeting, glinting apparition, the essence of the times. So one dimension of this image of mass observation as a net is of catching a shoal of glinting fish, like the shoals of herring caught in nets in John Greyson's documentary film of 1928, Drifters, which also became an image of a form of unconscious deep-sea life. The net could have also been understood as a network of the kind central to the organisation of observers in the Mass Observation Day Survey on May the 12th, 1937, as well as to the perception of the official networks of broadcasting and communication on that day.
Well before 1949, when mass observation was transformed to an organisation committed to the scientific study of human behaviour into a fully fledged member of the world of market research, much of its work already could be thought of as market research. Some of its methods may have been distinctive, something that became less and less true of Mass Observation Limited, its successor. It may have engaged interests and enthusiasms of quite different kinds of researchers to the ones involved in the organisations that were more openly enterprises of market research. But large tracts of what mass observation produced could be characterised as market research, intended to alert, if not alarm, politicians, the press and others concerned with shaping opinion or responding to it. Market research was not a violation of its high scientific aims, as Angus Calder would later claim. Rather, as the preface to May the 12th made clear, mass observation's findings were to be available not only to the historian and the realistic novelist, both of whom have used them extensively over the last 75 years, They are intended also to be of use to, quote, the social worker, the field anthropologist, the politician, the advertising agent, and indeed any person who's concerned to know what people really want and think.
Special. And this is where it gets slightly corny, a little bit sentimental, but I've got to say it. I think the biggest thanks really have to go to those original observers, the original panel, the original investigators, the people who had the vision to sort of create this organisation, and also the current mass observers who keep that going, because of course without them, you know, mass observation may not be quite the fond thing that we're all in love with so much so. So I'd just like to say all of those thank yous, and thank you all for coming.